Did you know that around 1 million Australians live overseas? And no, they're not all scattered randomly across the globe. Today, we're breaking down the top countries where Aussies have actually settled in significant numbers. Some of these destinations will make you nod along, thinking, yeah, that makes perfect sense, while others might leave you genuinely wondering why anyone would trade Australia for that. And before anyone gets defensive in the comments, let's get this out of the way. Australia is absolutely brilliant. Incredible beaches, a stable political system, high living standards, and wildlife that looks deadly but plays with its cards on the table. So if life here is that good, why are around 1 million Australians, about 4% of the population, living abroad? What's pulling them overseas, and why do certain countries keep popping up at the top of the list? Let's get into it. At number 6, we've got Singapore, with an estimated 20,000 to 25,000 Australians calling this tiny island nation home, though the real number is likely higher when you factor in short-term workers and frequent movers. And let me tell you, this one's all about the money, honey. Singapore is basically the financial hub of Southeast Asia. It's clean, it's efficient, it's safe, and if you're working in finance, tech, or pretty much any corporate job, you can make an absolute killing. We're talking salaries that make your eyes water, often with housing allowances, school fees paid, and other perks that make you forget you're living in a place where chewing gum is basically a criminal offense. Now, Singapore's great if you like your society a bit more structured. Everything works. The trains run on time. You won't find rubbish on the streets because nobody wants to cop a massive fine. But you also can't really let loose like you can in Australia. No drunk shenanigans at 2 a.m. No casual swearing in public. It's all very proper and orderly. The weather's a bit of an adjustment too. Instead of Australia's 4 seasons in one day vibe, Singapore gives you one season, hot and humid, every single day. You'll be sweating through your shirt just walking to the mailbox. But hey, the food is incredible. You've got hawker centers serving up amazing meals for next to nothing. And you can pop over to Thailand, Indonesia, or Malaysia for a weekend trip easier than an Aussie can drive from Sydney to Melbourne. A lot of young Aussie professionals move to Singapore for a few years to boost their careers and bank accounts before heading home. It's like Australia's corporate training ground in Asia. Plus, you get that expat community where everyone's earning too much money and complaining about how expensive the wine is. Classic stuff. Number 5 might surprise some of you. It's Thailand, with over 20,000 Australians living there. And this demographic is interesting because it's basically split into 2 groups: young backpackers on permanent gap years, and retirees who've worked out they can live like absolute kings on their superannuation. Let's start with the retirees. Blokes named Gary and Sharon from Frankston, who've spent 40 years working in Melbourne and decided, stuff this, we're moving to Phuket. And honestly, brilliant decision. Your Australian pension or retirement savings goes so much further in Thailand. You can live in a nice apartment, eat out every day, get regular massages, and still have money left over. The weather's warm year-round. The Thai people are genuinely lovely, and the healthcare's actually pretty good and affordable. Then you've got the younger Aussies who went to Thailand for 2 weeks in their 20s and just never left. They're teaching English, running diving schools, working in hostels, or doing some vague digital nomad thing that nobody really understands but somehow pays the bills. They've got that permanent tan, speak a bit of Thai, and have completely forgotten what it's like to pay 25 for a schnitzel. Thailand's popular because it's close to Australia. The cost of living is ridiculously cheap, and the lifestyle is just easy. You can rent a decent place for a fraction of what you'd pay back home, eat incredible food for a few bucks, and spend your weekends on stunning beaches or exploring temples. The visa situation can be a bit of a hassle. You've got to do quite some paperwork, but there's a whole industry built around helping expats navigate it. And let's be honest, if you can handle Centrelink paperwork, you can handle Thai visas. At number 4, we have Canada, where nearly 47,000 people have claimed Australian heritage. Now, this one's interesting because Canada is like the polite, sensible cousin that America wishes it could be. Canada's got a lot going for it. Universal healthcare, which is brilliant after dealing with Australia's mixed system or America's complete chaos. The political situation is generally more stable and less theatrical. And Canadians are genuinely nice people. They say sorry almost as much as we say mate, and they've got that similar laid-back vibe. The main cities attracting Aussies are Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. Vancouver's particularly popular because it's got that outdoorsy lifestyle. Mountains, skiing, ocean, and the weather's relatively mild by Canadian standards. Though let's be honest, mild to a Canadian still means you'll need a proper winter coat and not just the hoodie you wore to the footy in July. Toronto's the big career hub, finance, tech, media, and it's a genuinely multicultural city where you can find decent coffee and food from everywhere. Montreal's got that European flair with the French influence, though you'll need to dust off your high school French skills or just aggressively speak English and apologize constantly. The work visa situation is fairly straightforward with the International Experience Canada program for younger Aussies, and there are decent pathways to permanent residency if you want to stay long-term. Plus, you're close to the US if you want to visit, but you don't have to deal with their healthcare bills or political drama on a daily basis. The downsides? Winter is no joke. We're not talking about a Sydney winter where you need a light jacket. We're talking proper, Arctic, soul-crushing cold where you'll question every life decision that led you there. But Aussies who stick it out generally love it. Coming in at number 3, we have New Zealand. Now, this one's a bit cheeky because, let's be honest, the relationship between Australia and New Zealand is like siblings who constantly take the piss out of each other, but would absolutely have each other's back in a fight. Around 70,000 Australians call New Zealand home, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. It's gorgeous. You've got mountains, lakes, more sheep than people, and Jacinda Ardern was pretty popular for a while there. Plus, they speak English. Well, a version of it. Fush and chups, anyone? The funny thing is, there are way more New Zealanders living in Australia than Australians living in New Zealand. Something like 700,000 Kiwis have made the move across the ditch. So really, we're winning this exchange. But the Aussies who do move there tend to love it. Lower cost of living in some areas, less extreme weather, though they do get proper cold winters, which is something us Queenslanders aren't really equipped for. A lot of Aussies move to New Zealand for work opportunities, particularly in Wellington and Auckland. Others just want that Lord of the Rings lifestyle, living in Middle-earth and pretending they're Gandalf every weekend. And you know what? Fair enough. The Trans-Tasman travel arrangement makes it ridiculously easy too. Aussies can live and work in New Zealand indefinitely, and vice versa. It's basically like moving interstate, except you have to cross a body of water and prepare yourself for some seriously aggressive rugby banter. Coming in at number 2 is the United States with around 100,000 Australians spread across this massive country. And this one makes sense for a bunch of reasons. First up, career opportunities. If you're in entertainment, tech, finance, or a bunch of other industries, America is where the big leagues are. You want to be an actor? Good luck making it big from Perth. You want to work for a major tech company? Silicon Valley's calling. Plus, American salaries in certain fields absolutely dwarf what you'd make in Australia. The Aussies in America are clustered in a few key spots. You've got Los Angeles, which is packed with Australian actors, models, and entertainment industry people. Seriously, there are so many Aussies in LA that there are multiple Australian-themed pubs, and you can find Tim Tams in regular supermarkets. Then there's New York, which attracts finance types and people who want that fast-paced city lifestyle. And don't forget about the tech hubs like San Francisco and Seattle. Now, living in America as an Australian is a bit of a culture shock. On paper, we seem similar. English-speaking, Western countries, similar sense of humor. But in reality, it's quite different. The healthcare system is absolutely mental. You'll be paying through the nose for insurance and still getting massive bills. The political situation is, well, it's a lot. And the work culture is intense. Americans work longer hours and take way less holiday than Aussies. But there are perks. America's huge, so there's incredible variety. You want beaches? You've got them. Mountains? Yep. Deserts? Sure. Massive cities and tiny towns. The national parks are world-class. And despite what the internet might tell you, most Americans are friendly people. The visa situation is tough, though. Getting permission to live and work in the US legally is no joke. Most Aussies get there through company transfers, special work visas, or by marrying an American. And if you're on a work visa, you're basically chained to that employer, which can be stressful. And at number 1, perhaps unsurprisingly, is the United Kingdom, with 126,000 to 165,000 Australians calling it home. And honestly, this makes perfect sense. The UK is basically Australia's ancestral homeland for a huge chunk of the population. Heaps of Aussies have British parents or grandparents, which makes getting an ancestry visa relatively straightforward. Plus, there's the Youth Mobility Scheme visa that lets young Aussies live and work in the UK for up to 2 years, which is how this whole thing usually starts. London is the big draw. It's one of the world's great cities. Incredible museums, theater, history, food, pubs, and it's a gateway to Europe. You can pop over to Paris for a weekend, catch a flight to Barcelona, or train it to Scotland. For Australians who've spent their lives geographically isolated, being able to visit multiple countries without spending 24 hours on a plane is absolutely intoxicating. The British weather is famously terrible, obviously. You'll go from complaining about the heat in Australia to complaining about the cold, the rain, and the fact that the sun sets at 4 p.m. in winter. But that's part of the experience, isn't it? You'll develop a newfound appreciation for central heating and learn to embrace the pub lifestyle. There's a massive Australian expat community in London, particularly in areas like Clapham, which is so full of Aussies it's basically been nicknamed Clapham Commonwealth. You'll find Australian-themed pubs showing the footy and cricket, cafes serving decent flat whites, and enough other Aussies that you never really have to leave your comfort zone if you don't want to. The job market's solid too. London's a global city with opportunities in basically every industry. The pay's generally better than Australia, though the cost of living can be brutal, especially rent. But if you're willing to live in a shoebox and eat meal deals from Tesco, you can make it work. A lot of Aussies do the 2-year UK visa thing, and many end up staying much longer. They get settled, they meet someone, they get a proper job, and before they know it, they've been there a decade and own a flat in Zone 3. From New Zealand's friendly neighbor vibes to the UK's ancestral pull, each destination offers something unique that's convinced thousands of Aussies to pack up and have a go at life elsewhere. But here's the thing, and this is important. Most Aussies who move overseas end up coming back eventually. There's something about Australia that gets in your blood. Maybe it's the lifestyle, the weather, the beaches, the laid-back attitude, or just the fact that nowhere else quite feels like home. You can love living in London or New York or Bangkok, but there's always that little voice saying, yeah, but remember how good a proper Aussie meat pie is. Living abroad is an incredible experience. You'll grow as a person, see new things, meet new people, and get a perspective on Australia that you can't get from staying put. But you'll also develop a deeper appreciation for what we've got back home. And trust me, we've got it pretty good. What about you? Have you lived overseas? Are you thinking about making the move? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're an Aussie living overseas and watching this, let us know where you are. And how's it going over there? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. I'll see you in the next one.